Qin Changshou, who traveled to the Douluo Continent, took over a god-level account that was abandoned at the beginning. Awakening his Spore martial soul, since he cannot become a healing-type soul master, then become a parasitic-type soul master. Xiao Wu, Tang San, Shrek 7 Monsters, Golden Iron Triangle, 1000 Renxue, none of Bibidong can escape. Hand over all your soul power. Qin Changshou said, I will trigger a new biochemical crisis on the Douluo Continent. Keywords of the novel. Douluo. Spore martial soul, start infected with soft bone rabbit no pop-ups, Douluo. Spore martial soul, start infected with soft bone rabbit complete collection download txt, Douluo. Spore martial soul, start infected with soft bone rabbit latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. Playing a bad hand of good cards. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Playing a bad hand of good cards. Douluo Continent. The outermost part of the starry forest. I have finally reached level 25, and I am still 3 months away from turning 12. I should be able to enter Shrek College. A handsome young man, comparable to the reincarnation of Panin, slowly stood up from the completely depleted remains of a century-old wind wolf. The fur of the wind wolf, which should have been incredibly tough, was scattered into debris when it was blown by the wind. The boy's name is Qin Changshou. He appears to be an ordinary boy from Douluo Continent, but his soul comes from a fat house boy from another time and space. Due to staying up too late, he unexpectedly died and traveled here. Now, he has been in this world for 2.5 years. As a former two-spined ape, he is naturally familiar with Douluo Continent. Based on inherited memories and observations over the past 2.5 years, he is very certain that his body is actually the same age as the protagonist Tang San. The current timeline coincides with Tang San's visit to Shrek Academy. If it weren't for the abstract nature of my predecessor, maybe I could have enrolled at the same time as Mr. Dai. The body he is wearing is a hidden family of the Heavenly Dou Empire, a son of the Qin family. The most famous member of the family is the first graduate of Shrek College, Qin Ming, the senior. As members of the Qin family, of course, his qualifications are not inferior, and even he is a genius born with full soul power. However, it was a pity that he did not inherit the wolf-type beast soul of his family, but instead mutated and awakened a spore-shaped weapon soul similar to Dandelion. The family, which was originally full of hope for it, saw this martial soul and their expectations plummeted instantly. After the clan leader's decision, if he can obtain the appropriate development direction for his first soul ring, he will then invest resources again. Perhaps it was fate, this guy entered the outermost part of the star forest. Unexpectedly encountering a 7-heart blood lotus, although only 50 years old, after absorbing this soul ring, it awakened a soul skill called Parasitic Recovery. The spores triggered by his martial soul attach to others and can continuously restore their physical strength. As long as their own soul power is not exhausted, those who are parasitized by him can continue to fight vigorously. If this skill continues to be cultivated, it may be comparable to 9 Hearts Hai Tang, one of the 2 top auxiliary martial souls in the Soul Master realm. The Qin family once again ignited hope for such a valuable auxiliary soul master, and all kinds of cultivation resources were smashed in one fell swoop. Before the age of 10, Qin Changshou had already reached level 20 of cultivation. Looking at the entire Douluo Continent, such a terrifying cultivation speed can at least rank among the top 10. Such a great situation was completely destroyed after he obtained the second soul ring. I don't know if it's because I've seen too many war soul masters in my family, or if I'm unwilling to spend my whole life hiding behind my back as a wet nurse. This guy's second soul ring actually chose to absorb a 300-year-old ghost vine. The second soul skill awakened the poisonous touch of the poisonous attribute. The spore surface is attached with neurotoxic poison, and as the number of contacts increases, it will eventually lead to nerve paralysis and even loss of life. And, after being infected by the toxins of the ghost vine, his first soul skill also underwent a mutation, from parasitic recovery to parasitic absorption. In this way, not only is he unable to treat others, but he will also directly extract their physical strength and even soul power. A top-notch healing soul master in good condition, always moving towards a poison-controlled soul master, getting more and more crooked. The Qin family couldn't tolerate such a stubborn son and immediately expelled him from the family. Without the protection of his family, he was pampered from a young age. After recklessly entering the outskirts of the starry forest, an accident occurred. It was at this time that the soul of an otaku with the same name and surname replaced his body. A good hand, playing poorly. It's really just 4-2 with 2 kings. A healing soul master with innate soul power is the most popular wherever he is placed. How could anyone be so abstract? After taking over this useless account, the otaku Qin Changshou only took a moment to think of a new direction for the future. Parasitic soul master. This is the path he came up with himself. Since the martial soul is an inconspicuous parasitic spore and can also absorb the soul power of others, why bother practicing it? Just go grab it, no, just borrow someone else's, okay. As a master once said, there are no useless martial souls, only useless soul masters. Thinking of this, he wandered alone and carefully around the outermost part of the starry forest, specifically searching for those 10-year soul beast experiments. This first soul skill is simply a divine skill. Isn't it a zombie virus? Quickly, he had an unexpected discovery that this parasitic absorption soul skill not only absorbed soul power to assist in cultivation, but also slowly increased the lifespan of the soul ring on his body. The speed of improvement is about 50.1, which means that a soul beast that has been around for 50 years can grow 2 soul rings by 1 year each after being completely drained by him. More interestingly, once infected with this soul skill, even if the spores on the surface of the body are removed on the spot, some smaller spores will enter the soul beast's body. In close contact with other soul beasts, whether it is reproduction or predation, the spores that enter the body will follow the body fluid and parasitize on the new host. However, due to his current low soul power, the range of parasitic absorption is only 100 meters. Once it exceeds this range, although the spores are still there, he cannot control it. Of course, for 2.5 years, he also secretly attempted to parasitize spores on some passing soul masters. I don't know if it's because the soul master has purified the soul power, or if the loss from human transmission is lower, drawing soul power from the soul master will have a better effect. At the same level, the ratio can even reach 10.1. It is the opponent's first-level soul power, which can be converted into 1/10 level soul power when inhaled into their body. If used on soul rings, it can increase both soul rings by 1 year. Fortunately, it's me. If it were someone else, with such a great temptation, I wouldn't be able to find people everywhere to absorb it. Qin Changshou knew very well in his heart that if he disregarded the consequences and parasitized and absorbed everywhere, he would definitely be an evil soul master. In the eyes of a future sea god, that is the way to take death. However, even if he didn't suck the person dry, he still proficiently controlled the strength of the suction through this method. The soul master whose soul power has been stolen by him will feel unwell at most for a few days a month and will not suspect his head. Is there any safer and more awesome parasitic target on this continent than that 100,000-year-old humanoid beast? After meeting the admission requirements for Shrek College, he eagerly set off with the goal of targeting the 100,000-year soul beast, the soft bone rabbit dance. You should know that although the other party is currently humanoid, the soul power that can be obtained from her is endless. Moreover, perhaps in the future, she could use her body to quietly plant spores into the Tang 3 body, which would be a bright path to the divine throne. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Registration for Shrek College. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Registration for Shrek College. After half a month of long journey, Qin Changshou finally arrived at the kingdom of Barak, the city of Soto. The village where Shrek College is located is nearby. He walked out of the south gate of Soto City and soon discovered the small village of 100 or so households. There was a tattered plaque hanging on it, with 5 large characters written crookedly. Shrek Academy. At this moment, many people have gathered at the village entrance. It seems that they are all students and parents who have come to register. Qin Changshou used his Spore martial soul, like an ordinary dandelion, to quietly scatter into the crowd, searching for Tang San and Xiao Wu. Unfortunately, he arrived a little earlier than Tang San, and even Mubai's figure did not appear among the crowd at the registration point. Forget it, there's no rush to suck blood at this moment, no, Parasitic. Thinking that as long as I successfully entered Shrek Academy, there would be opportunities to interact with Xiao Wu in the future, I no longer hesitated and quickly joined the registration queue. Dad, is this shabby college okay? Where is a legitimate college located in the village? Besides, with my qualifications, except for those top intermediate colleges in the empire, I can't get into them, and other colleges are all competing for excellence. A young man in front of Qin Changshou complained softly. In his eyes, it was evident that he had great disdain for this legendary academy. Indeed, it's a bit disappointing. Patiently observe, after all, it's a recommended college by the Martial Soul Hall. Perhaps this is just a test set by them. The father next to the young man spoke like this, but his eyes betrayed his equally skeptical mood. Speculative conversations like this can be found everywhere in the entire queue, with many teenagers and parents filled with disappointment on their faces. Qin Changshou didn't pay much attention to these people. According to the plot of Douluo, except for those 4 monsters, no one else was admitted this year, and he couldn't even enter the college gate, so naturally it's not worth his attention. If you want to parasitize, find the highest quality. This is the truth he discovered during his 2.5 years of wilderness survival. Don't be fooled by the fact that the soul power he receives from the target is fixed in proportion to the lifespan of the soul ring, but the hidden blessings he receives from objects with different strength and potential are not the same. For example, 2 50-year-old wind wolf soul beasts and 100-year-old wind wolf soul beast, after absorbing their soul power, their Spore martial soul can obtain a slight lightness characteristic of wind, allowing them to control spore parasitism, reduce air resistance, and become faster. There is a subtle difference between the two, and the latter gives him a much greater perception of wind than the former, not simply 1 + 1 = 2. On the whole continent, the most high-quality and easily accessible young soul masters are none other than Shrek 7 Monsters. In other colleges, there is a chain of disdain, and it is extremely difficult for him to enter, not only to find opportunities to compete with parasites, but even to meet in person. He followed the registration team and saw an old man lazily lying at the registration table. He, who was familiar with the plot, recognized at a glance that this guy was not an ordinary rural old man, but a level 63 strong attack weapon soul emperor, Li Yusong with a dragon-patterned stick. The registration fee is 10 gold soul coins, just put them in this box. His voice was not loud, sounding as lazy as his state, but there was an undeniable flavor in his tone. The parents of the young leader of the team quickly took out 10 precious golden soul coins and carefully placed them in the rough wooden box next to them. "Give me a hand." The young man quickly followed suit, and Li Yusong casually pinched his palm twice before lying down again and waving his hand. "Age over, next one." Upon hearing his words, the young man's parents panicked and pleaded, "Teacher, my son turned 13 a day ago. Can you be accommodating? Our college's policy is to only admit students under the age of 13, not for an extra day or an extra hour. You, as well as those who are over 13, can go back." Lying on the chair, Li Yusong was very impatient. He had to say these things several times a year, so why does anyone always want to take advantage of them? As soon as these words were spoken, many people in the team fell into a predicament. Several parents shook their heads and sighed as they led their children away dejectedly. "Since we don't accept it, our registration fee will always be 10 golden soul coins are not a small amount, and the young man's father immediately reached out to retrieve them from the wooden box. Li Yusong didn't get used to him, so he reached out and lightly tapped the table a few times. Once registered, it won't be refunded. Then, he gave a faint glance at the person and called out from behind. Hongjun, someone wants to grab the registration fee, you can handle it. Before he could finish speaking, a sturdy figure suddenly rushed to everyone. This person was not tall, had short hair and small eyes, and had two small mustaches on his lips that looked like mouse whiskers. Gulan, no, Evil Fire Phoenix, Ma Hongjun. Qin Changshou, who was in the registration team, recognized him at a glance. Unexpectedly, the person in charge of assisting with the registration today was this chubby little guy. Damn it, if you dare to act recklessly on our Shrek Academy's turf and want to grab the registration fee, beat me first. Ma Hongjun activated his soul power, and 2 yellow century-old soul rings were instantly released. A purple demonic flame gradually rose around his body, causing the high temperature to distort the surrounding air. You should know that compared to Dai Mubai, the Evil Fire Phoenix has a stronger affection for Shrek Academy. Dean Frand, like his reincarnated parents, not only provides food, shelter, and training environment, but also constantly tries to find ways to solve his evil thoughts in martial souls. He was the first to refuse when he heard that someone wanted to oppose the college. Among soul masters, strength is always the first voice. Although the chubby little man did not have the intimidating power of wearing Mubai's Millennium Soul Ring, the momentum that erupted from his body was no less than that of the evil-eyed white tiger. Even, due to emotional excitement, he is even more frightening in this state. No, we don't want it anymore. The father, who wanted to repay his fame, quickly grabbed his wife and children and left at lightning speed. This is just a student, so powerful. If the college teachers take action, wouldn't it be even more terrifying? With Ma Hongjun's demonstration, the number of applicants immediately decreased by half, and no one harbored any luck. After all, it was real gold and silver thrown into the water, and there was no sound. Undoubtedly, he is the Evil Fire Phoenix. If I could keep the spores parasitizing on him, it might enhance his martial soul's fire resistance ability. Moreover, this guy's personality can help me better transmit spores. Not bad, not bad. Qin Changshou at the back of the team looked up and down at the chubby little guy with a strange gaze, as if looking at a walking piece of top-quality pork belly. Hey, it's still summer, why do you feel a chill in your back? Isn't it because you've been venting too much in recent days and your body can't handle it? Ma Hongjun, who was being targeted by him, felt a chill in his spine and an indescribable sensation in his heart. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. The Second Soul Ring Approaching 1,000 Years. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. The Second Soul Ring Approaching 1,000 Years. Until those who wanted to fool through the level left, Li Yusong continued to invite the remaining teenagers to sign up. 11 years and 8 months old, age appropriate, release your martial soul. This young man of recognized age is very confident, and his milky white soul power is released, surrounded by a yellow century-old soul ring. The breath emanating from his soul ring can feel a warm embrace of a mother, while his martial soul is a milky liquid. The first soul ring is the healing soul master of the century-old soul ring, which is extremely rare. Moreover, he is not yet 12 years old, and his future is limitless. Ah, if my predecessor didn't become a demon, he would definitely be even more in demand than this guy. Qin Changshou now feels uncomfortable when he sees a healing soul master. Although he has found a shortcut to cultivation, who knows if there is a suitable deity for him as a evil soul master in the future. Anyway, the deities of the light system can always be seen and touched, but his parasitic system has never appeared at all. Unqualified, next one. The confident young man, upon hearing Li Yusong's denial, stood still on the spot and angrily asked. Why do you say I'm unqualified? I'm a healing soul master with 100 years of experience in the first soul ring. Do you understand how difficult it is to cultivate healing soul masters? Li Yusong glanced at him and said in a flat tone. There are not many healing soul masters, and the first soul ring, which is even 100 years old, is also very good. Unfortunately, you are just an ordinary person. As soon as these words were spoken, there was some commotion when he signed up for the Team Wuduan. Such a genius, no matter which intermediate college he was placed in, could be considered a person of high status. How could this old man say that he was just an ordinary person? The boy was furious and slammed the table. You put. Before he could finish speaking that word, he collapsed to the ground in an instant. The ordinary and mediocre old man in front of him suddenly released a powerful aura, and a long stick with a 5-clawed golden dragon tattooed on it appeared in his hand. The most terrifying thing was that white, yellow, purple, and black rose from the soles of his feet. The 6-colored soul rings, with their dazzling colors, made him the only focus of the audience. 60-level Soul Emperor. Looking at the entire continent, there are beings who can walk freely. In this small dilapidated village, there is actually such a strong person hidden. The young man just now was very fortunate that he didn't really finish the insulting words. He offended a soul emperor, who still possessed a soul ring for thousands of years. Even the prince of Barak Kingdom dared not do so. Shrek represents an ancient monster. Our Shrek Academy is the Monster Academy, which only admits monster students. Ordinary people should go to ordinary people's academies. Those over 13 years old and with less than 20.1 levels of soul power can save time. After finishing these words, Li Yusong withdrew his soul power and transformed back into that lazy old man from the countryside. But the Soul Emperor's strength he just showed completely suppressed everyone present. Under 13 years old, has soul power reached level 21. This is no longer called a genius, as he said, it is indeed a monster among geniuses, no, a monster among monsters. At this moment, many people reacted and turned their gaze to Ma Hongjun, who had put away his soul ring, looked pleasing and fanned Li Yusong. What are you looking at? I'm only 12 years old, and my soul power has already exceeded level 21. Growing up in an environment that made Ma Hongjun somewhat insecure, he didn't like being stared at very much. He frowned and glared fiercely at everyone, then continued to flatter Li Yusong by pinching his shoulder. Gudong. After seeing his 2 centenary soul rings, the registration team swallowed their saliva in unison. Monsters, all monsters. The students recruited are monsters, and the teachers are even more monsters. Even the gatekeeper is a soul emperor. How many strong ones should there be inside? After determining the admission conditions, the vast majority of parents shook their heads helplessly and left with their children. Before the age of 13, the soul power reaches level 21, which is extremely rare across the entire continent. In an instant, there were only a few applicants left in the entire team. Seeing this scene, there was no change in the expression on Li Yusong's face. He had long been accustomed to not being able to recruit students. Quickly, it was Qin Changshou's turn to register alone. He honestly paid the registration fee and walked on the outermost edge of the Star Doe forest for 2.5 years, hunting so many soul beasts that he could still afford the money. Extend one hand. Li Yusong pinched his palm, then suddenly picked it up and looked at it carefully. At the same time, he looked at his face, which had been exposed to the sun and rain for a long time, as well as a pair of incredibly determined eyes, looking at him with some confusion. How could you have so many calluses on your hands at such a young age? Pinching hands is to test bone age to prevent applicants from falsifying information. It is difficult for the young man in front of him to confirm that he is only 12 years old. In theory, soul masters at this age do not need to work like ordinary people, nor do they need to go out frequently for training. Instead, they should spend more time learning basic knowledge at the Junior Soul Master Academy. But this young man, like a seasoned soul master who has been on the battlefield for a long time, left many traces on his body that should not have been there. If I were to return to my teacher, I volunteered to go out and experience for 2 years. These calluses were left behind during my outdoor life. Qin Changshou did not conceal this, but rather glorified the fact that he would be expelled from his family. The Qin family doesn't want him anymore, so naturally there's no need to mention him too much. It's a bit interesting. Nowadays, young people who are willing to take the initiative to experience hardship are not common. Release your martial soul. Li Yusong did not inquire about his background. Shrek College's enrollment has always been based solely on strength, not background. Even if you are a descendant of the third patriarch or the royal family of 2 major empires and cannot meet the registration requirements, they will not accept it. Qin Changshou nodded, stimulating his soul power. A green light rose up, and countless dandelion-like spores floated around his body. Of course, the most eye-catching ones are the 2 yellow soul rings on his body, and even the second soul ring faintly appears purple, obviously very close to a 1,000-year-old soul ring. Can you withstand soul rings for nearly 1,000 years? Li Yusong exclaimed in surprise. The second soul ring is not rare for 100 years, but it's close to 1,000 years. That's too exaggerated. With a normal soul master's body, it can't withstand it. Teacher, can I be considered a monster? Qin Changshou smiled and thought to himself. Don't worry, teacher. You'll be in a hurry in the future. Well, it's really a little monster, Hongjun. Take him inside. Li Yusong didn't even care about his martial soul's abilities. With this mindset and resilience alone, it was enough to give this young man a bright future. As for whether he can pass the later test, it depends on his own fate. However, luck is also a form of strength. Today, Mubai happened to be out, and the person in charge of assessment was Hongjun, which gave him a much greater chance. After murmuring softly, Li Yusong continued to invite the remaining people to sign up. End of this chapter. Why can he be exempted from the exam in Chapter 4? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Why can he be exempted from the exam in Chapter 4? Selling sausages, freshly baked big sausages. Eat one, pass every exam, it's only sold for 5 copper coins, pass by, don't miss it. After entering Shrek Academy with Ma Hongjun, Qin Changshou had not yet walked far when he saw an uncle, with a bearded beard, a weathered and lewd face, setting up a stall to sell sausages. This student, aren't you considering buying a big grilled sausage? It's made by a top food soul master and will be very helpful for future exams. This person is one of the Shrek 7 monsters, Uncle Big Sausage, Oscar. His words are also correct. These grilled sausages indeed come from him, a food-based soul master, and have the ability to instantly restore 10% of physical and soul power. Not only that, at this moment, he also possesses a second soul skill. Detoxifying small sausages, which can instantly remove abnormal states and increase body resilience. However, those who have seen Douluo Continent know that this guy's soul curse for making sausages is really obscene. Normal people should not be able to accept it when they hear it. I suggest you buy one, it should help you pass your future exam. Ma Hongjun, who was responsible for guiding the way, also helped to persuade, but the lewd expression in his eyes was no less than Oscar's peach blossom eyes. It's not expensive, uncle. Can you bring 2 more? Under the joyful gaze of the two, Qin Changshou actually decided to buy 2 grilled sausages, and Oscar even ignored being called uncle. These 2 sleazy guys looked at each other with a smirk, and then unconsciously returned to their normal appearance. Anyway, it's something we have to eat sooner or later. It's just a disgusting spell, and it's not really something we took out from there that can increase temporary combat power. Don't waste it. But they didn't know that Qin Changshou had already seen through their thoughts, and this child's trick couldn't have any impact on him. Your sausages are ready, Chenghui, 10 copper coins. Oscar quickly strung 2 large sausages and handed them to him. Qin Changshou casually took out 10 copper coins from his waist bag and placed them on the sausages cart. He calmly took them, but did not eat them immediately as the two expected. Instead, he held them up in his hand. The grilled sausages need to be eaten while they are hot to taste good. Classmate, hurry up and eat. Oscar, who is more obscene, kindly advised. Didn't you just say that this thing will be helpful for the upcoming exam? Why don't I wait until the exam room before eating? Qin Changshou changed his innocent expression and blinked at the two of them. Cough. Sincerity is the ultimate skill, and the two who failed to succeed in their scheming were left dumbfounded. In order to ease his embarrassment, Ma Hongjun quickly pretended to say hello to Oscar and led Qin Changshou to the location of the second-level exam. After they left, Uncle Big Sausage touched his nose and looked at their backs a few times, muttering to himself. Why do I always have the feeling of being completely seen through by him? Is it my illusion? The two of them arrived at the exam location of the second level. Ma Hongjun and the responsible teacher greeted each other and took a white soul power test crystal, which they handed to Qin Changshou. This level is very simple. Check your soul power level and martial soul nature to ensure that you have sufficient development potential. Ma Hongjun is not worried that someone won't pass this level. After all, the second soul ring can approach 1,000 years, and the soul power given when advancing alone can at least be upgraded by 2 levels. Qin Changshou held 2 sausages in his left hand, as if it was inconvenient, and waved them in the air a few times before injecting his soul power into the test crystal through his right hand. A bright white light appeared, and due to the large size of a fat phoenix, it happened to block the view of other candidates. Sleeping slot. Classmate, you don't need to continue with the second and third levels of exams. Go directly to the 4th level exam room. As soon as this statement was made, it immediately aroused the dissatisfaction of a group of waiting candidates. After seeing the grilled sausages in Qin Changshou's hand, they immediately began to speculate with ill intentions. Why can he be exempted from the exam? Just because he bought your college's sausages. This is too unfair. It's just that 2 sausages can be used as a bribe, and your college is too unreliable, isn't it? Make a fuss. What's the fuss about? Who did you say was bribed? If you have anyone with soul power that can reach level 25, they can also be exempted from the exam. The evil fire phoenix, who was already irritable, was slandered out of thin air by others. It suddenly became angry and roared loudly. Level 25. Are you joking? We're not even 13 years old. How could we possibly have such high soul power? Those who can stand in the second-level examination room are all teenagers under the age of 13, with a soul power level exceeding 20.1. Such a proud son of heaven is a coveted treasure in any college outside. But in this peculiar college, they always suffer inexplicably, which makes them very unhappy. Keep your eyes wide open and see clearly. Just because you can't do something yourself doesn't mean others can't do it either. Ma Hongjun wanted to use foul language, but after seeing the teacher next to him, he forced himself to hold back for his own happiness. He took the white crystal that Qin Changshou had tested, and the brightness on it showed a remarkable level of 25. What? How could it be possible? 12 years old and 20.5 levels. It must be my illusion. Those candidates still didn't quite believe it, and some even suspected Ma Hongjun and secretly helped him cheat. However, when they saw the little fat man's flushed face, they all withdrew their necks. Not bad, not bad. It's been 2 years since there were no new students enrolled. It seems like you can increase your bonus this year. You go to the 4th level exam room, and I hope you can join Shrek College smoothly. The assessment teacher ignored the doubts of other candidates at all, but satisfactorily took the test crystal and nodded to Qin Changshou. Thank you, teacher. Qin Changshou bowed and expressed his gratitude. He was very clear that Douluo Continent is very particular about etiquette, and his humble behavior can also leave a good impression on the college teachers. You guys, let's continue testing. Seeing this new student so sensible, the smile on the test teacher's face became a bit brighter, but soon, he turned around and faced the other candidates, and he regained his serious demeanor. After such a move, it was assumed that Qin Changshou's strength had indeed reached level 25. Such a slap in the face made the originally proud and peacock-like candidates instantly transform into a group of defeated roosters, and a sense of defeat that had never been experienced before rose in vain. Sometimes, the gap between people is greater than that between people and dogs. Senior Brother Hongjun, may I ask, what was the assessment for the third level I just skipped? Qin Changshou pretended to be curious and asked in order to appear more natural. The third level is about assessing the application of martial souls. You don't have to worry about this. Your soul power has reached the standard, and those skills can be learned later. One power will be reduced by 10 points. Upon hearing the other person refer to him as senior brother, Ma Hongjun was very receptive and became much more patient when explaining. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Evil Fire Phoenix. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Evil Fire Phoenix. Senior Brother Hongjun, there are really many rules in our college. Listening to Ma Hongjun's explanation, Qin Changshou was very cooperative and often appeared as if he knew something but didn't understand it. He replied with 2 lines. That's not it, you haven't enrolled yet, it will be true then. Cough, it's nothing, you'll naturally know then. The 4th exam room is ahead. The personality of a phoenix whose evil fire has not been eliminated now belongs to the kind that will expand when blown away by someone. Unconsciously, he almost revealed the secrets of the college. Fortunately, at this moment, he saw Xiao Wu not far away, which made him react and quickly shut up. Is that Xiao Wu, who is known as the Immortal King and Mighty King Kong Bear War Soul Saint? He looks even more muscular than in novels and TV shows. Qin Changshou saw him restrain himself and did not continue to ask. Following his gaze, he quickly discovered Xiao Wu lying bored under the shade of a tree ahead. If it were someone else who was unaware of the situation and saw this teacher, one would only feel that he was a muscular and exceptionally strong man. Qin Changshou, who is familiar with the plot, still respects this soul saint who appears to be squeezing his brain with muscles but actually has a delicate mind. It has to be said that every member of the teaching staff at Shrek College has extremely strong character and strength, except for a scumbag. Teacher Xiao, this is Qin Changshou, the first new student this year to participate in the 4th round of the exam. Ma Hongjun saw Xiao Wu and dared not show any neglect. He led Qin Changshou and quickly stepped forward to salute. In the days of the college, besides the dean, the one he fears the most is this one. Oh. Did someone break into this place this year? It's not bad, not bad. So what, Hongjun? Mubai entered the city today, and I'll leave this level to you. Upon hearing that a new student had enrolled, Xiao Wu stood up and looked at the young man in front of him with great interest. Shrek College has not had any new students for 2 years, and a group of teachers are circling around 3 students all day, which is also somewhat boring. As high-level soul masters like them who are unwilling to join any empire, their greatest wish is to find a suitable successor who can impart their lifelong knowledge. Thinking of this, Xiao Wu glanced at the little chubby guy warming up next to him, and a hint of envy flowed in his eyes. Fran is so lucky to have found such a precious disciple. Changshou classmate, the rule of the 4th level is to resist all my attacks within a burning incense stick. You must be careful. After Ma Hongjun finished speaking, he respectfully inserted a stick of incense beside Xiao Wu. The prescribed time for a stick of incense is neither too much nor too little. Even if he has good senses for this candidate, he dare not raise any desire to make any small moves. Excuse me, senior. Qin Changshou nodded and decisively stepped back more than 10 meters, his body slightly arched, with a posture that could launch an attack at any time. At the same time, his eyes also became sharp. This is an experience of wandering around the outskirts of the starry forest for years. When encountering enemies, regardless of their strength, one needs to be fully focused to deal with them. Once he relaxes, he is likely to pay the price of bleeding, and many of the scars on his body are the lessons left over from the initial period of time. Seeing his movements and reactions, Xiao Wu, sitting cross-legged on the ground, raised a slightly imperceptible angle at the corner of his mouth. This kid has quite rich combat experience. I hope he can withstand the scorching flames of Hongjun. When both sides were ready, he shouted loudly. The exam is starting. Then, he reached out and wiped the incense stick, igniting it. As soon as the words fell, both sides of the battle instantly activated their soul power, and the same double yellow soul rings lit up. Since it is a battle, there is no need to stay behind. Being kind to the enemy is cruel to oneself. The second soul skill, bathing Phoenix in fire. As the attacker, if Ma Hongjun fails to defeat his opponent in just one burning incense, he will inevitably face a terrifying corporal punishment. As soon as he arrived, he used the second soul skill that could enhance the power of flames, which was bound to strike the enemy with one blow. I saw him surrounded by flames all over, faintly taking on the embryonic form of the divine bird Phoenix. The second soul skill, highly poisonous rope net. Qin Changshou was well aware of the power of the opponent's flame soul technique and dared not neglect it. He summoned a large green spore and formed a huge green rope net in front of him. His original second soul skill was poisonous touch, which involved sprinkling spores and using the roots grown on them to continuously ambush enemies. The move he is currently using is his self-developed and improved method of using soul skills. Upon closer inspection, the entire rope net is formed by spores as nodes, tightly intertwined with their roots. At each connection, there are also many delicate spikes that can be used to counterattack. Plant-based martial souls. The second soul ring that's close to 1,000 years old. Interesting, he's a good little guy. Observing from the side, Xiao Wu became increasingly satisfied with Qin Changshou and his expectations grew stronger. The first soul skill, Phoenix Fire Line. A slender purple flame suddenly erupted from Ma Hongjun's mouth and rushed towards the green rope net. But as the flames were about to collide with the rope net, they suddenly adjusted their angle and wanted to pass directly through the mesh, directly reaching Qin Changshou. With the careful guidance of Ding Frand, as a beast soul, he is very aware of the weaknesses of the soul master of the weapon soul, especially the summoning type of the plant type. Although their martial souls may be very powerful, their physical bodies are extremely fragile. Even with the cleansing of soul power, it is far inferior to the blessing of beast martial souls on the body. Collect. Without first-hand experience, it is impossible to understand the pressure of facing the evil fire phoenix. Who would have thought that at the age of only 12, one would possess such powerful flame control abilities? However, Qin Changshou was not so easy to deal with. As the purple flames were about to pass through the mesh, the entire rope net tightened violently, transforming into a small, elongated prison cage, directly wrapped inside. After the contraction of the spore rope net, there is no more gap left, and the phoenix fire wire loses its space for cleverness. Humph. Seeing his little trick blocked, Ma Hongjun didn't panic at all. He let out a muffled groan, and the flame power in his mouth increased a bit. What if it's blocked? After all, the opposite side is also a plant, its own phoenix flame, but a natural nemesis of the plant system. As he had imagined, after a brief encounter, the two sides seemed to be evenly matched, but in an instant, the rope net burst into flames, and the new flames further fueled the flames. Who said I can only put one rope net at the same time? Before Ma Hongjun could be happy, a new rope net was wrapped around the front line. Moreover, Qin Changshou's side was constantly generating new spores. Before arriving at Shrek Academy, he designed different combat strategies for the Shrek 7 Monsters. He was very clear that even if his second soul ring came from the resilient ghost vine and had a lifespan of nearly 1,000 years, he could only withstand the phoenix fire for a moment. But what about this? His martial soul is a spore. This thing even consumes less than blue-silver grass. A rope net cannot stop the other party, then 2, 3, 10, and 100. Simply fighting for soul power, he also consumed the evil fire phoenix to death, not to mention, he even made 2 big sausages that can restore soul power. However, relying on consumption to carry a stick of incense for a long time is not the ultimate goal of Qin Changshou. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. First Parasitic Failure. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 First Parasitic Failure. Hahaha, our little phoenix is going to suffer a big loss now. Xiao Wu, who watched the battle from the side, was a seasoned battle soul saint who could tell the clues at a glance. The phoenix fire line continued to gush, and the spore rope net in front of it burned one after another. Damn it, doesn't this soul skill require soul power consumption? Not long after, Ma Hongjuan's forehead was already covered in sweat, and the flames he sprayed began to feel somewhat weak. You should know that when a soul skill is extremely powerful, it means its consumption is also amazing. If the evil fire phoenix cultivates to the soul saint level and awakens its martial soul true body, it can withstand the continuous consumption of soul power. But now he is just a high-level soul master in his 20s, and the battle of attrition is too difficult for an explosive soul master like him. Senior Hongjun, don't force yourself too hard. My second soul skill should still be able to be released about 100 times, you. The battle has continued until now, but Qin Changshou has become increasingly relaxed. Mainly, Ma Hongjuan's current attack methods are too simplistic. Although he can control the direction of the fire line, it is ultimately difficult to escape the constraints of the rope net. He just needs to constantly throw out new rope nets, and the other party has no choice. And his words were not just about caring for the other person, but rather intentionally provoking Ma Hongjun, hoping that he could continue to explode, preferably by completely depleting his soul power. Only in this way can his first soul skill, parasitic extraction, have an opportunity to take advantage of it. That's right, from the beginning, Qin Changshou's goal was not simply to pass the exam, but to parasitize the spores into Ma Hongjuan's body. Changshou classmate, I'm not weak enough to require new students' attention, Phoenix Fire. Excited by his words, the flame that was about to extinguish suddenly ignited again, and this time, its power was even more terrifying than the one released earlier. Isn't it the agreed fire system restraining the plant system? How could he still play like this? His soul skill is too naughty, isn't it? The blazing evil phoenix, upon hearing the opponent's active exposure of their trump card, inevitably begins to mutter in its heart. Even if the other party is lying, based on the battle situation just now, the rope net soul skill doesn't have 100 pieces, at least an additional 50 pieces can be placed. Ah, Hongjun is a kid who is prone to impulsiveness. He can't stand the slightest stimulation from the enemy. It seems that in the future, the dean needs to provide him with special training in this area. Seeing the powerful Phoenix Fire wire, Xiao Wu sat on the ground and sighed. As a college teacher, he knew Ma Hongjuan's situation very well. Don't be fooled by the greater power of this soul skill, but the soul power of Little Phoenix is only enough to support him to play it again at most. Highly toxic rope net. Qin Changshou pretended to be scared by the flames, threw out 2 rope nets in a row, and then retreated a few meters again, rapidly gathering new rope nets in his hands. Puff! The new Phoenix Fire wire has some terrifying power. Previously, it could withstand spore rope nets for about 5 seconds, but now it can't even withstand a second and turns into flying ash. As the flames approached, Qin Changshou calmly threw out 2 new rope nets. This time, unlike the fragile rope nets before, the green surface is covered with many blue and black spikes. Is this Ghost Vine Toxin? A Ghost Vine soul ring that has been around for nearly 1,000 years. No wonder his soul skills can resist Red June's flames. I see. What is the origin of this new student? Xiao Wu, who had seen many things, couldn't sit still anymore and stood up to observe carefully. He recognized at a glance those blue and black spikes, clearly the toxic color unique to the ghost vine soul beast. The soul ring brought by the ghost vine, which has been nearly 1,000 years old, has completely reached the level of a 1,000-year soul beast. As Xiao Wu had imagined, the rope net, which should have burned instantly, unexpectedly achieved a wrapping effect after contact. The two rope nets resisted for more than 20 seconds. It wasn't until the phoenix fire line was completely extinguished that it turned into a pool of black ashes and fell to the ground. Just as Ma Hongjun and Xiao Wu thought the dust had settled, countless blue and black spikes suddenly grew on the body of the evil fire phoenix. When? How did the two people's pupils instantly dilate and this sudden attack come about? Hongjun, maintain the state of the bathing fire phoenix, these parasitic seeds won't harm you. Finally, Xiao Wu, who was worried about the student's accidents, couldn't help but speak out and remind him. Upon hearing the teacher's words, Ma Hongjun dared not relax at all and injected all the remaining soul power into his second soul skill. Soon, the spikes that parasitized him were completely burned clean by the phoenix purple fire, which constantly protected him. Unfortunately, Qin Changshou, who controlled parasitic spores, let out a gentle sigh. After Xiao Wu spoke out to remind him, he knew that his strategy had failed. The evil purple fire ignited, and he completely disconnected from the spores on Ma Hongjun's body. Welcome to Shrek College, Qin Changshou. Xiao Wu breathed a sigh of relief when he saw that the student was fine. He glanced at the incense on the ground, which had just burned out. He immediately stepped forward and supported Ma Hongjun, who had exhausted his soul power, to congratulate Qin Changshou. Thank you, teacher. Thank you, Senior Hongjun. Qin Changshou bowed back, still maintaining his humble posture without showing any pride of the winner. What kind of ghost is your soul skill? It's a bit naughty, isn't it? Who can beat you in the same level? By the way, I remember you just bought 2 Xiao Ao's sausages. Give them to me quickly. Weak Ma Hongjun, with a bitter face, punched him hard on the shoulder, venting his displeasure. Lucky, just lucky. My second soul ring happens to be the ghost vine that matches my martial soul, which barely withstands your attack, senior. Qin Changshou was very clear that his soul ring and soul skills had no secrets in Xiao Wuji's eyes, and the gap between the two sides was too great. He simply had no intention of concealing them. After saying these words, he quickly handed over the 2 large sausages and delivered them to Ma Hongjun's mouth. The evil fire phoenix swallowed a few mouthfuls of saliva, but now he had no soul power left, so he had to endure nausea with a disdainful expression and swallow the sausages in large gulps. He never expected that his prank with Oscar would eventually backfire on him. Parasitic, bound, and poisonous, Qin Changshou, cultivate well in the academy, and in the future, you will be an excellent control soul master. King Budongming gave his own evaluation, and he was very certain that if Qin Changshou was given enough space in the battle, it would be a disaster for the enemy. Thank you very much for your praise, teacher. Qin Changshou accepted the praise with a smile and showed his utmost composure. This was his first parasitic failure, but he did not feel remorseful. Fire was already the nemesis of plants, let alone the ultimate phoenix fire. In addition, Ma Hongjun happens to be in the soul skill state of the phoenix bathing fire, so this failure is reasonable. Hongjun, take him to the dormitory after resting. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Difficulties, find Xiaocui. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Difficulties, find Xiaocui. Here we are, we will stay in this dormitory from now on. Welcome, classmate number 4. Not long after Ma Hongjun ate 2 large sausages, his soul power had already recovered significantly. Although he was unable to engage in battle yet, walking normally was not a problem. Along the way, Qin Changshou repeatedly offered to support him in a caring manner, even the idea of being able to carry a little fat man, but was rejected. The reason for the evil fire phoenix is also very direct. Men can do anything but their bodies cannot. This made him miss the opportunity to parasitize spores again. Number 4. Qin Changshou had a puzzled expression on his face, and his performance was so impressive that he could take advantage of the little golden man. Yes, currently there are 4 students in our college, including you. You came the latest, isn't it the 4th? After confirming that he was one of his own and getting to know each other well, Ma Hongjun seemed to open his mouth and began to talk endlessly about the situation of the college. Of course, this also includes some of his personal emotions. Speaking of which, there has never been a person who has given him such respect as Qin Changshou. You, me, plus what the teachers call Mubai senior, who else is that senior? Qin Changshou earnestly plays the role of a listener, and at this stage, establishing good relationships with the Shrek 7 Monsters is the top priority. These cultivators are rare nutrients. Oh, you've seen the other one before. It's the one selling sausages, called Oscar. Just call him Xiao Wu. Uncle who sells sausages. Isn't our college only accepting young people in their teens? Qin Changshou looked surprised. The guy with a scruffy beard looked like he was in his 30s. Uncle, ha ha ha. He looks a bit anxious, but in fact, he's only 14 years old. However, when it comes to the level of obscenity, it's reasonable to say he's an uncle. Previously, in order to promote grilled sausages, Ma Hongjun, like Oscar, instinctively ignored this title. Now, when he mentions it again, he burst into laughter. It's truly Shrek Academy, with monsters everywhere. This is not derogatory, it is Qin Changshou's most authentic inner monologue. Listening to the little chubby man's ear, there was no discomfort at all, but he was quite proud. Alright, there are still 3 days until the start of the school year. You can familiarize yourself with the college environment first. By the way, 2/3 of the village belongs to the villagers. If there is nothing to do, it's best not to disturb them. Qin Changshou nodded. It was impossible not to go, he even had to go later. Are you hungry now? I just had a fight with you, it cost too much and I starved to death. I'll take you to the cafeteria by the way. Ma Hongjun has a deep memory of the battle just now, expressing his displeasure in an exaggerated tone. Cough. Senior Hongjun, I don't have much to consume. You go eat first, I'll wander around. Someone's sincere gaze made the little chubby man even more heartbroken. He covered his chest with one hand and quickly stood up, in urgent need of food to soothe his injured soul. Watching Ma Hongjun's back completely disappear from view, Qin Changshou finally relaxed. Acting is very hard. Since it's not realistic to parasitize spores directly on Ma Hongjun, let's start with his good looks. I don't believe he can still maintain Phoenix fire protection when he's happy. He remembers that when this guy first appeared, he broke up with a girl named Xiaocui from the village because of frequent venting of fire. Plus, as mentioned earlier, there are still 3 days left for school to start. Counting the dates, Dai Mubai and Tang San should meet now, most likely fighting in the Soto City Hotel. This also means that Ma Hongjun will at least go find Xiaocui a few more times. At this moment, he threw down his luggage and quickly headed towards the village residential area. The village was very small. After a little inquiry, he found Xiaocui's address and casually gave a reason. After fooling the villagers, he quickly ran over. It should be her, Spore, Parasite. When he came to a farm, he saw a rural girl with fried dough twists braids at a glance. The girl basically matched his impression of Xiaocui. Without much hesitation, Qin Changshou quietly released his martial soul and disguised more than 10 spores as dandelions carried by the wind, instantly parasitizing Xiaocui. He is a level 25 soul master, and it is extremely easy for his martial soul to parasitize ordinary people. Everything is ready, just wait for Ma Hongjun to deliver it to his door. After finishing these things, he didn't stop and quickly returned to the college dormitory when he happened to meet the chubby little man who had come back from dinner. Senior Hongjun, the environment in our college is really nice, quiet and comfortable. It's like a paradise on earth. Qin Changshou pretended to look around at the scenery and came back, pretending to be very natural. Huh, that's not right. Let me tell you, our college has one biggest advantage, which is freedom. When there are no courses arranged, there will be no restrictions on your actions. Of course, you cannot leave the Soto City area until you graduate at level 41. As Ma Hongjun spoke, he handed over the food wrapped in oil paper in his hand. Our college cafeteria is no different from other wealthy colleges. There is only one teacher responsible for 3 meals, which cannot be served 24 hours a day. I'm afraid you might miss your meal later and bring you some food. It can be seen that he is really devoted to Qin Changshou. Respect is mutual, and if someone treats him well, he will repay him very much. This is much stronger than a guy who, after becoming a god, turns around and calls himself the Enlightenment teacher Gangzi. Thank you, Senior Hongjun. Taking the still steaming food, Qin Changshou sincerely thanked him from the bottom of his heart. This time, it was not acting, but he was truly moved. Until now, Ma Hongjun is still the first person who cares about himself without any purpose. Sigh. This way, when I try to absorb soul power in the future, I feel a bit guilty. So let's drink less. The missing parts are all on Tang San's head. Originally, among the Shrek 7 Monsters, his main targets were Tang San and Xiao Wu, while others were only occasionally used for tooth smashing. You're welcome, I'll be my own brother from now on. If you have any difficulties or problems, just come to me directly. So, I have something urgent, go out first, don't wait for me tonight. Ma Hongjun's chubby face smiled like a chrysanthemum, waved his hand, and casually politely exchanged a few words with him before suddenly leaving in a hurry. Don't worry, this guy's evil fire is coming up. Got the key one. Little rabbit, you need to come quickly, I can't wait anymore. Qin Changshou rubbed his hands and his face was full of excitement. Parasitizing spores on Ma Hongjun is an important part of his plan. According to the plot, as long as Xiao Wu meets Little Fatty, they will definitely start fighting. The rabbit with a love brain uses soft skills that require physical contact with enemies, so hee. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Evil Eyes, White Tiger, Dai Mubai. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Evil Eyes, White Tiger, Dai Mubai. One night passed, and Ma Hongjun only returned to the dormitory in the morning, feeling slightly tired. After saying hello to Qin Changshou who woke up early, he fell asleep. Ah, the young man doesn't know how expensive XX is. Young man, it's better to be restrained. Yesterday's assessment cost so much, and you fought hard all night. I'm afraid you'll die suddenly. Through the induction of his martial soul, Qin Changshou is now very certain that the spores have perfectly parasitized into his body and are safely hidden. Now, even if Dean Frand is here, he cannot find the hidden spores without undergoing a thorough examination of the whole body. A few steps outside, I met a boy with blonde hair and blue eyes, who was 1.8 meters tall. What was most surprising was that his cold eyes had double pupils. Coupled with the aristocratic aura emanating naturally from the inside, such a man is the most eye-catching focus of the audience no matter where he goes. Are you Senior Mubai? My name is Qin Changshou and I was a new student who just enrolled yesterday. Faced with the leader of the Shrek 7 Monsters, the third prince of the Star Luo Empire, Qin Changshou, while respecting him, did not flatter him too much. He had already figured out how to get along with the 7 monsters before coming, and now he has a very good grasp of this scale. New student. Welcome to Shrek Academy, Dai Mubai, the sole master of the strong attack department. It has been 2 years since new students enrolled. Suddenly hearing this word, evil-eyed White Tiger was somewhat surprised. He carefully examined the person up and down, nodded, and then gave a brief self-introduction. He did not have any discrimination or other opinions because Qin Changshou was admitted in his absence. Although he often teased Ma Hongjun, he never questioned the strength of little fatty. Being able to pass the test of the evil fire phoenix, this person's strength and potential should not be underestimated. Yesterday, I heard Senior Hongjun and the teachers mention you. Today, I saw you and you are truly extraordinary. Plant Department, Level 25 Soul Master. Qin Changshou knew that Dai Mubai must have had a fight with Tang San, so he deliberately mentioned his martial soul attribute. Is it a botanical system again? Upon hearing this attribute, Dai Mubai indeed had a slightly surprised expression on his face. Also, Qin Changshou pretended to be completely unaware. It's nothing. Yesterday in Soto City, I ran into two guys with good potential. They should be coming to the academy to register today. Among them, the young ones, like you, are all plant martial souls, but they are more special, they are blue silver grass. Talking about yesterday's meeting, Dai Mubai's words became more frequent, indicating that Tang San Xiao Wu did leave a deep impression on him. Blue silver grass. Can this martial soul still be cultivated? Senior Mubai, I happen to have nothing to do today. Let me go with you to see this genius young man. Qin Changshou was very surprised. This is the same as all the people who heard that blue silver grass can cultivate the spirit of martial arts. In the future, you will be a family. Just call me by my name, or just like Xiao Ao Chao Ji and others, call me Dai Dada. I always use honorific language and feel strange. Since you're not afraid of hard work, then come with me. As the prince, Dai Mubai quickly recognized his language skills. Normal people would usually use, take me over, when talking to people with higher status than themselves, rather than putting themselves in front. However, Dai Mubai did not expose it, and just because of this, he had some extra feelings for Qin Changshou. As I passed by Xiao Ao's sausages stall, I noticed that this guy who likes to sleep and woke up extra early today. Hello. New classmate, how did the grilled sausages taste yesterday? I didn't lie to you, did I? I ate my grilled sausages and pass every exam. When Oscar saw Qin Changshou still staying in the academy, he knew he had passed the entrance exam and quickly boasted about the effectiveness of his sausages. Have you already eaten his sausages? Xiao Ao. I've only been away for a day, so you're not being honest, are you? Dai Mubai frowned slightly and was about to reprimand a bad uncle. Oscar Sr., yesterday after the assessment, Senior Hongjun ran out of energy and gave him those 2 grilled sausages. Judging from his recovery speed, your grilled sausages are indeed very impressive. Qin Changshou smiled lightly and said these words lightly. Gah. Oscar, who had a lewd and strange smile just now, was stunned. Are you saying that in yesterday's assessment, grass chicken? Ma Hongjun ran out of stamina. What is your martial soul? When did the plant-type martial soul become so strong? Dai Mubai, however, could hear a different flavor from it, and he was even more shocked than Oscar. Using plant-based martial souls to withstand the attack of the evil fire phoenix with a stick of incense is already very impressive, but the meaning in his words is clearly that he has the upper hand in the assessment. Yesterday, a blue-silver grass martial soul was enough to surprise him. Today, the appearance of such a monster has brought about a revolutionary change in his understanding of plant-based martial souls. Senior Mubai. Dai, my martial soul is a spore, a fungus shaped like a dandelion. People in this world cannot distinguish between fungi and plants, so they say they are a plant-type martial soul without any flaws. Hiss. Monster, another monster. Such a weak martial soul can fight against its attributes. I didn't mean to belittle you, I was just too surprised, sorry. Upon hearing this, Dai Mubai took a deep breath. Dandelion and blue silver grass were, to some extent, extremely weak beings. If they had been placed before, he might not have even glanced at such a soul master, but these two people brought him surprises one after another. Lucky, just lucky. It's just my second soul skill, which happens to be able to withstand flames, which is why I barely passed the level. Qin Changshou wouldn't tell him that yesterday's Ma Hongjun was almost exhausted by himself and continued to fight. Little Fatty had no chance of winning. Don't be so humble. Ma Hongjun's flame is not just an ordinary fire, it is an ultimate fire from the divine bird phoenix. It can withstand his attacks. Your second soul skill is simply a divine skill when facing a fire-type soul master. Dai Mubai stepped forward and patted his shoulder, indicating that he truly recognized Qin Changshou's strength in this friendly way among the common people. That, Oscar, get over here and tell my new classmate how you made your sausage. As he spoke, he turned around and gave Oscar a fierce glare. Cough. Boss Dai, in front of the new students, please save me some face. Hey, don't hit me, don't hit me. I said it's not okay yet. The first soul skill, I have a big sausage. The second soul skill, I have a small sausage. As two soul curses sounded, two sausages appeared in his hands, one big and one small. Oscar Sr., why don't you keep this sausage for yourself? It's getting late, Boss Dai. Let's go to the registration office. I'm quite looking forward to the soul master you mentioned. Qin Changshou frowned and showed a look of disgust. After Dai Mubai's warning, the two of them walked towards the registration office. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. The shock from the same clan martial souls, Tang San was dumbfounded. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. The shock from the same clan martial souls, Tang San was dumbfounded. The situation at the registration office is similar to yesterday. The reputation of Shrek College has spread widely on the mainland. Although it is not a prestigious institution, its unique and powerful teaching methods have attracted countless visitors. Not to mention anything else, just those dozen or so graduates have all become the main soul masters of a certain force, and even the youngest elders of the martial soul hall. That is to say, Teacher Li has a good personality. If any other teacher were to explain the rules of the college day after day, year after year, he might have left long ago. I don't know if it's a familiar relationship or a significant change in my view of Qin Changshou. Dai Mubai, who has always been aloof, has become more talkative. The same method of deterrence led to a rapid reduction in the number of registered teams after Li Yusong revealed his Soul Emperor cultivation. Soon, Qin Changshou saw the figures of the other four monsters. The first person to come forward for testing is Ning Rongrong, the next generation descendant of the Seven Treasures Glass sect and the future Nine-Colored Goddess. Even if he is as strong as Li Yusong, he dare not show any neglect in the face of this delicate woman. You should know that the Seven Treasures Glass sect is the upper three sects, with Sword Douluo and Bone Douluo Town, and with the sect leader Ning Fengji, this Douluo Continent's first auxiliary. Even if it is the martial soul hall, it takes a long time to plan to move them. Did your family know that you came here? Li Yusong frowned and asked. Without Ning Fengji's permission, she recklessly admitted this woman to the college. If there were any problems, the Soul Emperors and Soul Saints could not bear the responsibility. Ning Rongrong smiled and said, "Didn't your college say that there is education without discrimination? As long as I meet the admission criteria, you should have no reason not to accept me, right?" Li Yusong lowered his head and pondered for a moment before instructing Dai Mubai to take the young lady into the college. After her, many new students have passed the first-level test, and those who can stay here are undoubtedly geniuses under the age of 13 with soul power exceeding level 21. Qin Changshou, who had been observing silently, roughly estimated that the quality of the students who came today was much higher than yesterday. In my previous life, when I was reading novels and anime, I didn't have such a deep feeling. Now it seems that Shrek Seven Monsters, except for someone who forcefully cheats, others are indeed exceptionally talented. The few people who can finally stand on the throne, even without the help of Sea God and Tang San, will at least become the existence of level 99, Extreme Douluo. Of course, this is under the premise that the Martial Soul Hall has not slaughtered them. Soon, there were only 3 people left in the team, Tang San, Xiao Wu, and the proud and childlike Zhu Zhuqing. Dai Mubai, who returned to the registration office, couldn't open his eyes anymore when he saw the ghost cat. Tang San, who had just showcased his martial soul, was also staring intently. His gaze was fixed on Qin Changshou, who remained silent, with a faint sense of danger and similarity that puzzled him. Can we say that this person's martial soul, like mine, is all blue-silver grass? No, absolutely impossible. The master once said that cultivating blue-silver grass is extremely difficult. Only a genius like me who is born with dual martial souls and full soul power can reach this level. Kill you Xiaojiang, Tang San wouldn't believe it either. There is someone in this world who has better talent than him. Not to mention anything else, relying solely on his hard-practiced Shantian Gong is incomparable to this world's soul master. Qin Changshou, who was being targeted by him, just smiled faintly and nodded politely at him. In fact, someone's inner thoughts are: if it weren't for Haotian Douluo protecting you in the dark and entering this academy, I would see you hitting you once at a time. If you were to go out and practice, you would have a way to die. In theory, among plant systems, parasitism is a skill that is easy to use and hide. If it weren't for knowing that someone has a father to escort them, they wouldn't have chosen to parasitize Xiao Wu first. In terms of strength, how can Tang San, who is only in the stage of a great soul master, compare to a rabbit with a soul beast that has been in existence for 100,000 years? As for whether or not to take this rabbit after successful parasitism, Qin Changshou really doesn't have such a habit. It's not difficult to correct his love brain, and he also risks being chased by a group of title Douluo, which is completely unnecessary. Qin Changshou, these 2 applicants, could you please take them to the next exam room? Li Yusong turned around and noticed something was wrong with Dai Mubai, so he had to arrange for the new student who only enrolled yesterday to serve as a temporary guide. Okay, Teacher Li, your name is Tang San and your name is Xiao Wu. If the information is correct, come with me. Dai has explained to you before, and I will take good care of you. Qin Changshou bowed to Li Yusong and then stood up to lead the 2 parasitic targets towards the academy. Senior, please wait a moment. May I ask boldly, what is your martial soul? I feel a familiar aura on you. Not long after leaving the registration office, Tang San couldn't help but ask. Don't call me senior, I just started school yesterday. Like you, I am both a plant-based martial soul. Speaking of which, I am quite destined. You are blue-silver grass, and I am Spore, the spicy chicken martial soul in people's eyes. Qin Changshou's face did not change. He was still smiling with a light smile. He silently used his soul power to show his soul ring. 2 yellow soul rings lit up, and the second ring was adorned with a faint purple soul ring, which was particularly eye-catching. Ghost Vine. It's still a ghost vine that has been around for nearly 1,000 years. Having the same type of soul beast soul ring, Tang San immediately noticed that the second soul ring on the opponent's body was much stronger than his own. This made him exclaim in surprise. The little dance on the side had never seen her third brother so excited before, but upon hearing his words, she was also stunned on the spot. Impossible, absolutely impossible. Third brother, this second soul ring was only reluctantly obtained by gathering the power of the entire Notting Junior Soul Master Academy. She knew very well how difficult it was to deal with ghost vine soul beasts. How could she accept that the young man in front of her, who was about the same age as them, possessed a stronger, even nearly millennium-old ghost vine soul ring? Lucky enough, let's go, Dai said. You don't need to take the 2nd and 3rd levels of exams. Come with me to the 4th level. Qin Changshou put away his soul ring, and he had already guessed their behavior. That bullshit you Xiaojiang, who even claims to be a master, talks about the top 10 laws of soul masters and the highest lifespan of soul rings. It turns out he's lying to me. Damn it, this is the way to take death. Tang San clenched his fist tightly behind him, feeling an indescribable anger in his heart. He only felt that in the past 6 years, he had put a lot of effort into treating Yu Xiaojiang as his master, but what he had obtained was a useless set of theories. Even the most important thing about the number of years of the early soul ring could be mistaken, which is unforgivable. Third brother, what's wrong with you? The little dance on the side called out a few times and found him still in a daze. She quickly shook his arm. It's okay, it's just the first time I've encountered a martial soul of the same type. I'm a bit surprised, senior. Please give me more guidance in the future. This guy changes his face faster than he sings, and most people can't even detect his hidden emotions. Well, there's a chance. Qin Changshou rolled his eyes secretly. I don't know who has the way to die this time, can't it be me? End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Combat should be fair. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Combat should be fair. Qin Changshou and the two of them chose another path and directly missed Oscar's sausages stall. Although he knew Tang San was tough and wouldn't eat that big sausage even if he died at this stage, he still did it just in case. This careful consideration is not to prevent Tang San from enrolling, but to hope that this guy can endure more hardships in the 4th level exam, so that it can be more convenient for him to carry out the next parasitic dance plan. Senior, what do you mean by, we can directly enter the 4th level of the exam as you just said? Due to taking some detours to reach the 4th level examination room, it took a little more time, and Tang San couldn't help but ask his doubts. Oh, well, according to the rules of our college, if your soul power reaches level 25 or above, you don't need to participate in the 2nd and 3rd levels. Boss Dai told me about your strength, so don't worry, just follow me. Qin Changshou briefly explained, and upon hearing the reason for exemption, the two of them immediately understood. They were overjoyed and continued to follow his footsteps with joy. Tang Shenhuang, you missed out on an opportunity to disguise yourself. You won't blame me, will you? This can't be the way to die, can it? Qin Changshou endured without looking back and muttered a few words. In the original work, these two guys had a level 29 soul power, but they were ruthlessly disguised as X in front of a group of young geniuses. Teacher Zhao, Boss Dai, these two are also freshmen who directly jumped the level. Quickly, the three of them arrived at the exam location of the 4th level. Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing, guided by Dai Mubai, had already been waiting here. Thank you very much. Originally, this job of leading the way did not belong to Qin Changshou. He was just a passerby, but due to the appearance of Zhu Zhuqing, Dai Mubai lost his mind and felt a little guilty about it. Small matters are all my own brothers, don't be so outspoken, Boss Dai. Qin Changshou smiled and shook his head, showing little concern. Oh. Is there such a little monster that can be exempted from exams this year? Hee, it's been a long time since I've been active, and this old bone is almost falling apart. Now, I'll give you for a stick of incense time to get to know each other and discuss tactics. After discussing the time, as long as one of you can hold a stick of incense in my hand for a while, even if you 4 pass the level. Just a reminder, don't expect to cheat or play tricks. With your speed, it's absolutely impossible to escape from this exam room. Also, this tests your temporary team's adaptability to combat. On your own, you can't resist my attack. After speaking, Xiao Wu casually inserted an incense stick on the ground, ready to light it. Teacher Zhao, this is not quite in line with the rules. If the dean finds out. Dai Mubai, who was concerned about the safety of Zhu Zhuqing in his heart, couldn't help but feel a little flustered when he heard that Ming Wang was going to take action himself. Go there, the dean is not here, and I am the final say of the college. What rules I set is what rules, and don't take the dean to press me. Xiao Wuji gave him a fierce glare. Although the academy received a lot of support from the Star Do royal family, Xiao Wuji didn't care about it. Now, Dai Mubai's identity is just a student of Shrek Academy. He wanted to raise his hand and light incense, but suddenly Qin Changshou spoke up. Teacher Xiao, since you're going to take action, I think both sides need to be at least fair. Right, Teacher Xiao, you can't bully the small with the big one. Seeing someone speaking up, Dai Mubai quickly agreed and cast a grateful glance at Qin Changshou. Two senior students, thank you very much for speaking to us. However, since the assessment rules were set by this teacher, let's go straight. All four of us have exceeded level 25, even if this teacher is like the one at the door, a famous soul emperor, and can withstand a stick of incense for a while, there's still no problem. The little dance, fearless of heaven and earth, spoke with a smile. Two insiders rolled their eyes together. What a newborn calf is not afraid of tigers. She's not afraid of this silly rabbit, Dai Mubai is afraid. Cough cough, Teacher Xiao is not the soul emperor. That's even more okay, senior students. Don't look down on us too much. Upon hearing that Xiao Wuji is not the soul emperor, Xiao Wu doesn't care anymore. It's not about winning the opponent before passing the level, it's just about defending for a burning incense stick. Teacher Xiao, he is at level 76, the holy spirit of war in the strong attack department. He is the vice dean of the college, second only to the dean as a strong person. Dai Mubai felt a bit helpless and directly interrupted the silly rabbit's words. He was afraid that these words would anger Xiao Wuji on the side, and the difficulty of the exam would increase. If Xu Zhuqin was eliminated, the losses would be huge. Level 76 War Soul Saint. The four freshmen's pupils suddenly shrank, making them dumbfounded. Level 76, what is this concept? Put it on the battlefield, it can be an existence worth 10,000. Go to the head of the enemy general in the midst of a chaotic army, it's like playing. Qin Changshou, you just said you want fair combat. What is a fair law? Xiao Wuji was not surprised by the four of them, but instead developed some interest in the little monster student he found yesterday. I believe that everyone is a soul master, and the combat style must be mainly based on martial souls and soul skills. I believe that what the teacher wants to assess is also this kind of practical combat experience. So, things like armor, weapons, and soul guides are not very suitable for this exam, are they? Qin Changshou's words were very sincere, with a genuine consideration for the college. Ha, you're right. The assessment for this level is only about the actual combat of martial souls and soul skills. So, Xiao Bai, I'll leave my armor with you for now. Please help me keep it safe. His proposal was very appealing to Xiao Wuji. He didn't move Ming Wang and immediately took off his personal armor, along with a few soul weapons, and placed them under the shade of a tree. Without the constraints of armor, the clear and robust muscles of the immortal king appeared particularly hard under the sunlight. Don't be fooled either, Teacher Xiao has taken off all of your weapons and equipment. Hand them in as well. Don't worry, our Shrek Academy won't even lose sight of these things from you. Originally, the four freshmen were still happy for him to speak for themselves. With this turn of the head, why did they even have to unload their equipment? The fastest Zhu Zhuqing didn't say a word. He dodged and took off a few small items from his body, placing them under a tree at a certain distance from Dai Mubai. He then dodged again and returned to the team. Seeing her movements, Ning Rongrong and Xiao Wu no longer hesitated, each unloading their equipment and placing it with the spirit cat. Now, the most awkward thing on the field is none other than Tang San. Hurry up the time, there's still half a pillar of incense left. At some point, the incense on the ground had already been ignited by Xiao Wuji, and by now it was halfway burned. Seeing everyone else looking at him, Tang San had to grit his teeth and quickly put various hidden weapons on his body into his belt. He carefully placed them in the bright moon night of the 24 bridges. As he passed by Qin Changshou, a hint of suspicion flashed in his eyes. Does he know that hidden weapons are one of my trumps? But when he saw someone with an innocent face, he immediately denied his idea. End of this chapter.